next show we're going to be talking about is Natsume Yujincho 6.
Yes. Natsume Yujincho 6. Oh my goodness. And the last episode for the season still has not to come out yet, so I think it's going to come out soon though, because it was one of the ones that started later than the rest of them.
Okay.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. Every time Natsume comes up, it's like I feel like I'm sitting here and I'm like I'm a broken record once again. You know, nothing overly changes in the series. There are little things, don't get me wrong. In each season, little things happen. Development occurs. But we're not talking about like drastic changes or anything. Development occurs. We continue on. And, you know, it's like meeting an old friend.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't seen each other in a while, but hey, we're still old friends. We catch up with each other, and then we go our separate ways, and we wait until the next time that we meet back up. That's what I feel like with Natsume. You know, his life continues. Obviously, continues right where we left off from before, but his life continues, and we just move along with that until the next season comes, and then we just keep on trailing it along. But I don't get bored with it. I don't feel bad about it. I don't get bored with it. I feel like I'm interested from start to finish. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they are constantly putting forth new monsters in it, new characters that continue. They don't ever feel like they're out of place. They just continue along with what they're doing, and it's great. I will say for those, I mean, you're probably way long way from watching this because you have so many more seasons to catch up on. So I'll say some things that I wouldn't have with Attack on Titan because I know those have been spoilers. But so a little bit of spoilers here because of discussion. He has never before announced to another human about the fact of the Book of Friends' existence. He's never before. Because, well, one, he doesn't feel like he would trust anyone. And then two, there's not a lot of people who would really understand what it entails. Okay. And it was recently when he was on kind of an expedition with a exorcist friend of his that one of the yokai came up to him and demanded the book from him. And he didn't realize the exorcist was in the same room. Until after the fact. So they got rid of the yokai, but now the secret's out.
Okay.
Something, you know, and it's like, I don't know. It was one of those tense moments where you're looking at it going, is something bad going to happen because of this? Is it going to be something? So, I don't know. I want... Natsume's had such a rough life in his life that he's the type of character you want good things to happen to.
Yeah.
Like when good things happen in his life, you're like, oh, that's great. Yeah, good for you, Betty. Yeah, awesome. And he doesn't have a lot of people in his life that understand. Let's say, let me rephrase that. He doesn't have a lot of humans in his life that he can relate to and understand what he's going through and the situations and can be nice about it. This exorcist was one of the few people, the actual people, who have full understanding of what he's going through and are cool with that. But now the fact that this has been brought up, and he explained it to him later exactly what the Book of Friends entails. And at first he was cool with it, but then after Natsume left, he began saying it should just be destroyed. Okay. But here's the thing, you cannot destroy that book. If you destroy the names in that book, you destroy the yokai involved with that book. So Natsume will never, ever agree to that. But that's something that this exorcist or his friend already has in his mind. That this book's too dangerous, and he needs to get rid of it. He needs to just burn it, get rid of it, destroy it. And it's like, no. Because you're like, he's been a great guy with Natsume the entire time. They've helped each other out. Things have gone great. And you kind of almost feel for the guy because the guy, you kind of learn bits and pieces of him too. And you're like, he's kind of had a rough time too. But then this happens. You're like, you almost feel betrayed for Natsume. You're like, no.
Yeah.
Good. You got to understand these things. Yeah. No. Stop it. So now I'm going to be curious if the book ever goes missing, if he's the one who's got it.
Yeah.
And not because he wants to use the book for nefarious reasons, which is what Natsume has always been worried about, but because he just wants to destroy it, which kind of is a nefarious reason on its own.
Yeah.
So,
do they ever like explain like the quantity of names that are in that book, or is it just like a book of names?
it's just a book of names. They never really explain exactly how many are in there. But he's constantly giving yokai back their names.
Yeah.
But there's still quite a few names left in that book.
Yeah. So it's like
until he actually comes face to face with each of those yokai and is capable of returning their names, there's no way he can do it. He can't just try to return the names without having the yokai here in front of him.
Yeah.
Because he has to have a full picture in his mind before he's able to return their names to them.
Yeah, I love how they don't like quantify it, because then you're like, it could be like 20 or it could be like 2,000 names. It's like there's no
you know, and you feel for him. You feel for Natsume because it almost feels like a betrayal, but at the same time you're like, he's been dreading this moment for, you know, a long time, because he's like, he's a friend of his, yes. Do they kind of trust each other? Sure. But he knows that this guy's an exorcist, and that this book could potentially pose a threat to their friendship. And here we go. Now that it's been revealed, you know, at first he seems like he's okay, but I don't know. But then, like, Neko-sensei, I don't think Neko-sensei entirely trusts him, so that might be something he'll look out for. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because when he was explaining it to him, the Neko-sensei was sitting there in the grass in his cat form, kind of keep giving him like a sideways glance, and I think he was trying to gauge upon his reaction what, you know, was going to happen. So I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
It's sad that I have I have more trust in the series with the yokai than I do with humans, which I think is their what they've been intending to do, because they always paint humans, with the exception of a few. He has maybe 2 or 3 friends in his life that he's actually open with for the most part, and you can trust them. But for everyone else, nope. Which, I mean, this was a huge violation of trust, and he hasn't even told his foster parents about any of this either.
Yeah.
And now that this has happened, now I'm like, oh God, in the next season, are they going to throw that in there? And what's going to happen there? This already went in a bad situation. So what are they going to say? I mean, they're probably going to be worried. Don't get me wrong, they'll probably be the parental type, and they'll be worried for his life. So they'll be like, well, this is really dangerous, because there could be yokai that, you know, there's always been yokai that try to get the book from him. You know, and then it's like, then there's always yokai, you know, some of the yokai that he's given names back to are kind of dangerous on their own too. So, you know, they might be like, well, no, it's too dangerous, and get rid of it, and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, he can't get rid of it. He's literally the only person who can return their names, period.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the family has the ability, so far as we know, to see yokai like him and his grandmother did. So none of the other ones can see them to be able to return their names to them.
So I guess it's a 2-part question. I'm curious, like, so you mentioned alchemist. So one, I wanted to know, did like the whole alchemist thing, like, did he join and all that kind of stuff? And then also, can the alchemist see the yokai?
Yeah, you mean the Exorcist?
Yeah. Yes, everything. Exorcist.
Are we doing Full Metal Alchemy? Yes. Yes, the Exorcists can see the yokai. Okay. Because, I mean, that's how kind of their job. That's their profession. They're exorcists. They actually see all the yokai. And usually, and they've it's kind of interesting. They've kind of described that a little bit more in the last 2, and this season more than anything else, is that there's been 2 exorcists that we've seen that one of them during the course of his life lost his powers to be able to see. And once he stopped being able to see, he no longer, like, he had 3 familiars, I want to say. 3 yokai that were tied to him, but because he lost his powers to see them, they went rampant. Because they're tied to him, but he's no longer an exorcist because he can't see them, and he can't control them anymore. But he can't dissolve the bond because he can't see them. So it's like, well, that's kind of sucks. And then there was another instance, exorcist died, but because he died, his yokai that had been his basically familiars, they were still loyal to him. It was just the fact that he was just no longer was there. So it's kind of an interesting situation. And I'm not even 100% sure that that holds true in all situations in this world that they live in now. But, you know, it might be a fact that maybe it's just because the one who, it was the type of yokai he had, or I don't know what. But it's still very interesting and very cool to, because like the guy, the exorcist that died, his two familiars were actually two twin dragons. They're like they were small versions of like traditional Chinese dragons.
Okay.
And that was just cool as all heck to see and whatnot. Because they ended up bumping into him because they were looking for the old exorcist's study to find his notes. And on one of the doors, there were two different doors into the study, and they were actually in two different parts of the house that he lived in. They were connected through magic. Was one of the dragons, and like they found the door, and you just see the dragon and the wood relief. And then when they tried to open it, he came partly out of the wood relief, and you're like, "That's kind of cool." To him and stuff, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. I like that. So I mean, this series always has little things to it, and every little thing to it just adds to it that much more. You feel the characters are so well developed. You feel a connection with them. You know, like I was saying before, his victories are your victories, and you want good things to happen, and you feel the betrayal even when he doesn't or hasn't yet, because you know certain things maybe that he doesn't. And, you know, so characters are well developed. Storyline's great. It's always something new and interesting to see. There's always a yokai that's, you know, some off the wall thing. I mean, from like mermaids to, there was this giant like furry creature of some sort that was not the brightest one in the world, but like he had a tadpole for a friend. That was a really big tadpole, but he had a tadpole for a friend, and they had like this really funny relationship between them. But it's like these things that you see, and it's always, he learns more about his grandmother and how her past was like pretty bad too, because of her ability to see yokai. And yeah, I probably sound like a broken record. I'm saying things I've probably said I don't know how many times before, but each time it's fun, it's exciting, and you just want to see and you want to know more. So
okay. Yeah, I've only watched one episode of this show out of 6 seasons, and like you're explaining like key points, and I'm like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And I haven't even watched it. So like this show is amazing. Like one day, like I always say,
if people out there ever doing a slice of life story for any reason, I mean, look this one up, watch it. If you enjoy slice of life, if you're trying to do something similar to a slice of life story, this to me is the bar. As we've said before and many other things about there being a bar standard for certain genres and certain stories and whatnot, this to me is the bar for slice of life. If a slice of life story can't meet this, I'm not interested in it.
Okay.
So
cool. This
is the epitome of fantasy.
Yeah.
You got the magic, you got the giant monsters, you got like, you know, sword fights, and it's like, this is awesome, love it. Like, well, see, here's the thing. This was the genius of what they did with this. Okay, they took characters that we essentially